You know, it's pretty wild to think that a single four-line poem written way back in the 16th century could still be sparking debate today. Well, we're about to dive into one of those, a super cryptic warning from Nostradamus that has had people scratching their heads for generations. Let's see what all the fuss is about. Okay, here it is, Century 1, Quatrain 18 in its original Old French. And right off the bat, it's a total riddle, right? It's talking about discord, a port, blood, sails. So what on earth is this ancient text really trying to tell us? What's the warning hidden in these lines? All right, so to even begin to unpack this, we obviously need a modern translation. Here's what it says in English. Because of French discord and negligence, an opening will be given to Mahomet. The land and sea of Siena will be soaked in blood, the Phocian port covered with sails and ships. Now we're getting somewhere. This translation is basically our roadmap to figuring out the sequence of events Nostradamus might have been laying out. So, with that translation in our back pocket, the bigger picture starts to come into focus. At its absolute core, this quatrain seems to be predicting how deep-seated problems inside France could end up kicking off a huge external conflict. And here's what I find so fascinating. The trigger point. Nostradamus doesn't kick things off with some big invasion or an enemy attack. Nope. He starts with something internal, discord and negligence. This is absolutely crucial. The prophecy is suggesting that this whole chain reaction isn't started by an outside force, but by France's own internal weakness. But before we can piece together the full story, we have to do a little detective work on the language Nostradamus is using. I mean, who are the Gaulois? Who is Mahomet? And where are these places he's talking about? Let's break down these key terms. First up, Gaulois. This one's pretty straightforward. It's a historical callback to the Gauls, the ancient people who lived in that region. For the purposes of this prophecy, it's a direct reference to France and the French people. Simple enough? Then we've got the name Mahomet. This is just the 16th century French way of writing the name Muhammad. In most interpretations of this text, this name isn't seen as one specific person, but as a symbol for Islamic forces or a collection of Muslim powers. The geography he mentions is also super specific. Sinoisi points to the land and the sea right around the Italian city of Siena. Now, this is a really key detail because it tells us the major bloodshed he's predicting isn't even happening in France, it's over in Italy. And finally, we have the Phocian port. This is an old, classical name for a city you've definitely heard of, Marseille, the huge port city in the south of France. It got that name because it was founded by ancient Greeks from a place called Phocaea. So the prophecy brings the action right back home to the French coast at the very end. Okay, so now that we've decoded the key players and all the locations, we can finally start to see how this thing builds. It's like we have all the puzzle pieces, now it's time to put them together and see the full picture. All right, so here's how the story seems to unfold. Step 1, it all starts with problems at home in France, internal conflict, and carelessness. Step 2, this weakness creates a vulnerability, an opening that gives Mahomet, or these external forces, a way in. Step 3, from there, the conflict explodes, leading to massive bloodshed over in Italy, around Siena. And then you get to step 4, the grand finale, this vision of the French port of Marseille just completely swarmed, covered with enemy ships. It's a pretty clear cause and effect chain of events. And that last image, wow, it is incredibly powerful. The prophecy doesn't just end with a vague battle. It gives us this really vivid picture of a major strategic French port, a symbol of their national strength, just completely covered and you have to assume conquered by an invading navy. It's a seriously dramatic way to end the thought. So after breaking all of that down, the language, the sequence, the final image, we're kind of left with a much bigger question, aren't we? What does it mean when a text that's almost 500 years old is describing anxieties about internal division and external threats that feel, well, strikingly modern? It really makes you wonder if Nostradamus was seeing the future, or if he just understood a timeless pattern of human conflict that repeats over and over again.